Good morning. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Dayton area. We welcome you. It's a beautiful morning. We're having a picnic today, so I hope everybody is hungry.
Hi.
Beautiful morning. Yes, it's a beautiful morning in the neighborhood. We're the Higher Mind Band. Hello.
Hello.
We're going to start this morning with a song by Jamie Lula. Features Dan over there on guitar and vocals. So, let's rock. One. Shall we all sing? Let's stand up and sing I Am a Light. 1, 2, 1 and 2 and I
Look at our rep. She's looking fabulous.
Thank you. You are all pretty shiny today, I have to say that. This is good. We're shining. Seems like there's lights out in the middle of the house, so I don't know what's going on. Anyway, good morning. I'm Reverend Cece Coltrane. Welcome to Center for Spiritual Living, Greater Dayton. If this is your very first time here, we extend a special welcome to you and thank you very much for spending your morning with us. We would very much love it if you would fill out that little tear-off strip on your bulletin cover and just drop it over at the Welcome Center after service. We will not abuse your email address or sell it or use it for any nefarious purpose. We simply wish to say thank you for being here. So I just have to warn you all, keep breathing. We're going to change up the order of the service today. It's okay. I know, change sometimes is difficult. Don't be alarmed, change is good. We'll just breathe our way through it. So Linda Andriaco will be on our pulpit this morning giving our reading and invocation. And our vigil holder is Linda Smith. And Linda and Lana, that's right,
Hi, Lana.
will be, it's one of those fill in the blanks at the last minute. Linda and Lana will offer our interface candle lighting, which is there to remind us of all of these sources of what we're talking about this month, which is spiritual wisdom, that are available to us from the world's religious traditions. And the kids today are with Carol, and the teens and tweens are with Stephanie and Christina. So as those kids make their way over to their, haven't changed it up that much, as they make their way over to the teachers, let's just give them a word of blessing, shall we? Let's just know that these beautiful, bright, shiny expressions of God are growing, and they're showing us, reminding us so beautifully and so transparently how to grow. So we bless everything that they do today, everything that they are in our world. We give thanks for them, and we wish them the most joyful day possible. And so it is. Have a wonderful time back there.
We will.
Good. Okay, this is where we change things up. I'm going to do the announcements now. Thanks to everybody who showed up to be photographed. We had a lot of people. I think the directory is going to be really nice and a really good tool for us to be able to put names and faces together. Because I don't know about you, but I will remember your face forever and sometimes give you the wrong name. And so it's going to help me. I hope it helps you too. I know that it will. It was nice to see how well our photographs turned out. And it was a much nicer experience than the last time, altogether much smoother, wasn't it? So today, right after service, as you may have been able to tell from all the people walking in with food, we have a picnic going on. It will be right after the service, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, if it's raining, we'll be in the social hall. It's not going to rain. It's not. It's going to, it might rain later, but we'll be all done by then, right? Kelly.
We have the tables in the social hall, and then we have metal chairs out in the backyard. So either way you want to do it. You
Great.
can sit inside or outside.
So it's not going to rain, but you can choose wherever you'd like to sit. Whether you brought something or not, please stay. We always have tons of food, and there's enough fellowship there to last you all week. You'll get to know some of the people in the community that you may not know quite so well. You can still get tickets to some of the Cooking with God events. You can just stop by or call during the week when Clara is here and let us know which events you would like to attend. The one I attended was so much fun, so I hope that you will check them out, and if you haven't already, plan to attend some of these events. And then please put this on your calendars. Monday, June 25th, 7 p.m. Lisa Ferraro and Etika Luckett are coming down. Yeah, they're coming down for a soul session. Don't miss it. It is an hour and a half of music and poetry and silence and spiritual contemplation that will fill you right up. They're extraordinary musicians, extraordinary women. I think you will really love that. So June 25th, Monday, 7 p.m. Don't forget, at the end of service, if you'd like prayer for anything, you can grab one of the beautiful women in the teal or white prayer stoles before they go eat. Grab them quick. But they're more than happy to pray with you on Sundays. It's their gift to you. There are licensed prayer practitioners, and they know how to know the spiritual truth even when it's difficult for you to see sometimes. So take advantage of that. So, It is now my great pleasure to introduce you to someone that I just love dearly. She's a singer and songwriter, a regular part of Columbus Center for Spiritual Living. Jessie Powers has been writing songs and singing music for a number of years now, but I gotta tell you, since I met her, I've watched her just like explode open into the fabulousness that she is right now. She's amazing. Amazing singer, amazing woman, a whole lot of fun, and really a deep musical poet. So give it up for Jessie Powers. She's going to sing Behind My Eyes.
No exploding.
Try not to explode.
Explode, please explode.
I think I'm going to explode with happiness right now. I'm like so happy to be here with you guys.
You would run it one time.
Yeah.
Come in.
Yeah.
Okay, hit it.
Cool.
All right.
Some people call it the devil. I tend to call it doubt. Some people think it's the enemy, but I can see it's just another beautiful part of myself. There's an infinite conversation going on inside of me, between the voice of shame and disbelief and the love that I'm trying to be. And I was born into a world that never hesitates to feed my fears, but I can see something bigger going on here. Oh, behind my eyes, within
We light the first candle in honor of Christianity. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. You did. This is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and prophets. We light the second candle in honor of Gnosticism. That which is below corresponds to that which is above, and that which is above corresponds to that which is below, to accomplish the miracle of the one thing. We light the third candle in honor of Taoism. When you succeed in connecting your energy with the divine realm through high awareness and the practice of undiscriminating virtue, the transmission of the ultimate subtle truth will follow. We light the fourth candle in honor of Buddhism. Good causes bring good effects. Bad causes bring bad effects. Your own cause brings your own effect. We light the fifth candle in honor of Hinduism. Now, as a person is like this or like that, according as they act and according as they behave, so will they be. A person of good acts will become good. A person of bad acts, bad. We become pure by pure deeds, bad by bad deeds. And whatever deeds one does, that he will reap. We light the sixth candle in honor of Sufism. My place is placeless, my trace is traceless, neither body nor soul. I belong to the beloved, have seen the two worlds as one, and it is that one I call to and know first, last, inner, outer, only that breath, breathing the human being. We light the final candle in honor of mystical Judaism. The secret to happiness of the average human being is not so much dependent on validation from an ever-changing society, but rather on one's own ability to create yesh miyam, existence from nothingness, light from darkness, and sweet from bitter. This kind of creation is boundless and encompasses all areas of human activity. Today's reading is by Ernest Holmes. A great load will fall from our mind if we will stop thinking about big or little, or hard and easy. If you set a spool of thread in front of a mirror, it will be reflected. Or if you stand in front of a mirror yourself, you will be reflected. This larger form will be reflected as readily as the smaller form. The mirror knows nothing about size, but reflects automatically the form held in front of it. Let's take these words into the silence for a couple moments. God is right here, right now, in and through and among each and every person here, each and every person in this country and on this planet. We are all one. We are all one with God. We are one with each other. I am thankful for this time. I am thankful for everybody here. And we are blessed. We are blessed with the music, with Reverend Cece, with the companionship and the unity of all of us here. And I say, thank you, God. and so it is.
Do you know how old my batteries are? Oh, we'll find out. What's the punchline? I don't know. I missed that joke. Whew. So happy June already, huh? In another couple of weeks it'll be Christmas, right? Doesn't it feel that way? It's so crazy. Life is just going by so fast. But it is a new month, and this month we're exploring spiritual wisdom and how to follow it. And when I talk about spiritual wisdom, I'm not talking about rules for conduct or creeds or dogma. I mean that which keeps showing up. That wisdom that keeps showing up from the mystics of all ages and those things that are shared in the scriptures of the world, and those things that reach out and grab us and say, this is truth. This is truth. The ideas that make sense to our souls. That's what I think of as spiritual wisdom. And they may make sense to our souls, but they don't always make sense to our egos. And they may make sense to our souls, but they don't always make sense to our intellects. And they make sense to this deeper part of us that says, this is truth, even though you're afraid of it. Or this is truth, even though it sounds illogical. That's spiritual wisdom, I think. And today's bit of spiritual wisdom is this. Spirit does not know big versus little, or hard versus easy, or can versus cannot. Ernest Holmes put it this way. He said, Spirit only knows itself. It only knows I am, and that also I am, and that also I am, and that also. In the first book of the Bible, I don't do scripture often, but this is one of my favorite stories. In Genesis, there's the whole story of Moses and the burning bush, which you've probably heard of. I love this story because it's about every single human being I've ever met. It's about all of us. You know, Moses is a shepherd. He's tending his father-in-law's sheep. They aren't even his sheep. And he sees a bush that is burning, but not being burnt up by the fire. And he hears a voice call, Moses, Moses. And as he nears the bush, the voice says, take off your shoes, for the ground you stand on is holy. In other words, Moses is having a really big revelation. All that stuff is like, pay attention. This is important, right? He then has a conversation with Adonai, the God of the Hebrews, in the guise of this burning bush. And God says, Moses, you're to go to Israel or to Egypt and free the Israelites from slavery. And Moses says, oh, you're kidding me. No, not me. Why me? What if the Israelites don't believe me? He says. Well, God takes care of that. And then he says, what if the Pharaoh doesn't believe me? And God takes care of that too. And then he says, but God, I stutter. And God says, we got that covered too. God is extremely patient with Moses. Gives him a magic staff and reminds him that I, God, will be with you, Moses, and will take care of everything. And Moses then says, oh, gee, can't you just send somebody else? And then God loses it a little bit. He gets a little angry. And finally, Moses sees that this thing is for him to do and nobody else. So he says, well, who should I say sent me? I mean, obviously I can't walk in there and say, well, Pharaoh, there was this bush. And God says, tell them that you were sent by I am that I am. That's the one we know most often. But there are a lot of scholars of the languages of that time and place who would translate it a little bit differently. They would translate it as, I will be that which I will be, or I am that which I am becoming. Now, if Moses had had ears to hear, he might have understood the rest of what God was telling him. From the very beginning of the story, God says, I have come down to rescue the Israelites from the hand of the Egyptians and to bring them up out of that land into a land that is good and spacious, a land flowing with milk and honey. So go, Moses, get it done, right? God called himself, I am that which I am becoming, which I think is a way to make secret and arcane and hidden the real revelation. I am Moses, and you are me, and I am you, and therefore you don't have anything to fear. You're on a sacred task. Go and do it. And that is the foundation of spiritual wisdom from every mystical tradition. That spirit is manifest through all life, through everything, through us, through each one of us. But of course, Moses, the human, says, I'm too small. I can't do this. I'm too small to answer this call. Moses doesn't quite get that God doesn't know big and small. That there's nothing that's too big for spirit, for the creative genius of the universe, right? And the story goes on to tell how God, through Moses, as Moses, did actually free the Israelites and bring them to the land of Canaan. And it did take him 40 years. But it took him 40 years because he was always tripping up again against that part of himself that said, I'm too small, I don't know how, I stutter, all those things, right? And he never was able to get into Canaan because he couldn't quite get over his own doubt, his own limitations. But the story is there to remind all of us that we're Moses. That we're Moses. And we actually could cross over into Canaan if we would let ourselves. That's what spiritual truth, spiritual wisdom in Scripture from anywhere does. From poetry, from fairy tales, from teaching stories. It's all around us, all these reminders all the time that this is who we are and this is what we're to do. We're to say, okay, but you got to help me out. And God will say, okay, I'll send somebody who doesn't stutter. He can speak for you, right? Or here's a magic staff, throw it on the ground, and it'll turn into a snake, and then everybody will know that you're really, you're the real deal. There are stories of these kinds of big revelations, burning bush, sacred ground, voice from the cloud. These big revelations come from all over, and there's stories about big stuff that gets done by folks just like us. Just folks. From the parting of the Red Sea to the breaking open of a seed so that the roots can sink and the shoot can come up. Every one of those is a big deal. It's a miracle, if you will. Spirit doesn't see that some are big and some are little. Every single one's a big deal. They're not hard or easy, they just are. God is simply becoming all the time. And here at Centers for Spiritual Living, we call that method of manifesting, Spirit's method of manifesting itself, the law. And our founder, Ernest Holmes, said, the very nature of this law is such that it cannot say, I am big in one place and I am little in another. It can say only, I am, and that also I am, and that also I am, including what we call big and little. It automatically flows through everything, taking the form of all things. Unfortunately, as Jessie just sung about in her song, the world convinces us that we're little and limited and insignificant, and we don't want to bother God with our small little problems. Or we think, this is too big. Even God can do nothing about this. I certainly can't do anything about it. Maybe we think God doesn't want to help us. But here's the thing, God doesn't want to do or not want to do anything. It simply is, and is becoming, and is already present in you and in me and in all things. It's already flowing through everything. Matter, energy, space, alive, inanimate, from the speck of dust in the air in front of you to the furthest, outermost edge of the universe. It is ising everywhere. It is becoming everywhere. It is doing its thing everywhere and everywhen. Here's another Ernest Holmes quote I want to share with you. In a certain sense, he says, this makes the creation of a mud cake by a child as important as the building of an empire. Not that it is fraught with as much significance to human experience, but that from the standpoint of the creative genius of the universe, they are just creations. They are just creations. So we start by making mud cakes, right? We start with the mud cakes. And then we go on to something bigger and something grander. And so one of my practices every single day is to remind myself that this same creative genius is at the outermost edge of the universe, creating new space and new time so it can keep expanding. And it's also in my breath. It is my breath. And I am it breathing as well as it being breathed. I try to remind myself of that every day because it's so easy to get caught up in what the world says. I really want to wake up to this truth. I really want to be awake to it. I would remember it when I need it, like when I see a bush burning and not being consumed and I hear a voice say, take your shoes off. We've all been there. We've all had those moments. Maybe it wasn't quite as clear as the burning bush, but you know, these stories, they write it big so you can't mistake it, right? It's usually subtler, but it's there nonetheless. It's the voice that says, where you stand is holy ground. Where you are in this moment is a place of might and power and joy and creation. Or when I face a situation that's too big to handle, I have to go back and remember that power, that God is right here in my breath. It's the breath itself, and it's what's breathing me. It's right here. Because let's face it, we look out at the world and we see these big, seemingly insurmountable issues, and we say, but I stutter. I'm too small. What can I do? These are the times that it's good to remind ourselves that there's no big or little, no hard or easy, no significant or insignificant in God. There's only spirit and form in this wild dance of life. So if we want to dance a little different step, we have to keep moving in that direction. If we want to sing a little bit different song, we have to open our mouths and sing. We have to keep moving our feet and reminding ourselves that we are spirit itself embodied. It's the same thing that makes the stars and the galaxies and universes and flowers and puppies and kittens and all those other wonderful things. And add this, and you. It will be what it will be. It is becoming as it is becoming. And it will show up as what we do and what we think and what we say and all that is. So Moses, Moses, once he finally got over his doubts, he turned his face towards Egypt and he took a step. And then he took another step. And he kept going until he got there, even though his calling seemed impossible to fulfill. And it's all said all over the place. With God, all things are possible. That's a good thing to remember. It's a good thing to remember that just because we were told that something can't be done, never means it can't be done. It never means it. When we get told that we can't do it, it doesn't mean we can't do something toward it, even if we can't see ourselves doing it, the whole thing. We can do something toward it in this moment right here. And just because somebody says you can't do it doesn't mean it can't be done by people just like us. By us, in fact. As a matter of fact, that's why we're here at this point in history, I think. There's nothing that's impossible, too big or too small for the creative genius of the universe, so long as you and I don't give up on the vision. whatever the vision is. We happen to have a shared vision about a world that we want to see and live in. It's a world that works for everyone. But this is also true if you stop and ask, what's tickling me today? What's trying to make its way into the world by means of me today? What do you want to do? What do you want? What circumstance do you want to experience? What do you feel is too big to do for you? And then we go back to what we've been talking about last month, this emotional equivalent of what that is. And then Ernest Holmes has some wise word for us. He says, comparatives do not belong to the universe. They are merely differentiations of our own mind. Dropping them completely out of our thought, we contemplate neither the big nor the little, not the hard or the easy, but the thing itself, capital T, capital I, the thing itself, spirit, taking particular form. See, God is breathing me, I am God breathing, God is my breath. We think about God doing it, not us. God is taking that form. And there's some practices that can really help us with this, I think. That one I already talked about, it is daily contemplating the omnipresence of Spirit. It is here, in me, as me, through me. And it's right out there, creating a new oak tree from an acorn. And over there, creating the baby bunny rabbits that now the neighborhood cats will chase. It's over there, creating a new bunch of flowers. It is in the Horsehead Andromeda, the Horsehead Nebulae, churning out new stars. It's a big star factory. And it's there, God is there too, making new stars. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. It's the same thing everywhere. And so I try to do that in some way every single day, just remember that. And the second thing I do is when I'm looking at my vision, I just let come up whatever comes up. All those things, all those, you stutter, you know. You're not coordinated enough to do that. You don't have whatever it takes to do that. You don't have the whatever. You don't deserve it. You're not young enough, energetic enough, pretty enough, smart enough, whatever you fill in the blank with to do that. I just let that stuff come up. Try not to hold on to it. Just sort of try and let it come up to be seen, thanked, and sent on its way. Then I got this great thing from Brene Brown's latest book, Braving the Wilderness. Is it Braving the Wilderness? There's the one after that. It's Braving the Wilderness. She writes herself a permission slip. I just love this. This is so good. You write it out. I give myself permission to have this thing, or I give myself permission to do this thing, or experience this thing. And you date it and you sign it. It's so good. There's something about us putting our word down on paper, the physical and emotional and spiritual act of writing it down and saying, I give myself permission, and signing our name and dating it. It's very powerful. It sounds silly, but it's very powerful. And then I just continue to do my spiritual practice, visioning, visualizing, meditating, praying, to keep my eyes focused. And here's the amazing thing. Then the step I am to take is clear. And I take that step. And then the next step to take is clear. What we want, what the Moses in us wants is, God, I can't go to Egypt until you show me the whole path, right? Show me how it's going to turn out, and then I'll decide. It's not how it works. It doesn't work that way. We get to see the step in front of us, and then the next step becomes clear. We don't get to see all the way to the end. It's just not the way it is, right? It's what we want, and this little part of us that's afraid, this Moses, holds out until, we keep hoping that God will show us the whole map, the whole picture, the whole outcome. Never happens. And if you think that's the way it is, you go walking down that path and pretty soon, you get turned in this direction, right? It doesn't turn out the way we think it's been planned. It turns out the way it is. Absolutely, our souls highest. That's how it turns out. Whatever it is that's going to be the highest thing for our deep and true self. So why does this even matter? I think because we, right here and right now, are here at this time on purpose. We're here at this particular time in order to transform our world. We're here to show by who we are and what we do. We're here to take the opportunity to show the size and strength of this thing we call God. Not by proselytizing, not by telling somebody else what to do, but by cultivating this ability to know in a really deep way, this ability to keep our inner sight on a vision of a world that we want to live in. A world that's healthy, a world that's clean, and where you can breathe the air, and where there's justice, and where everybody has the chance to be all that they came here to be. And then taking a step toward it. And we do it by remembering that even these great, big, soul-sized issues, yes, it's time, Kenny, thank you. All these great, big, soul-sized issues are not insurmountable to the I am that is becoming. The I am that is becoming through us and as us. And then we pick up our staffs and take a step toward Egypt. And the step after that will be revealed. And that's how we do it, right? One step, one breath, one moment of visioning and holding to that vision at a time. And so we've graduated from the mud cakes. We've graduated from the mud cakes into the traveling on the path toward being all that we came here to be. All of our human fears will come up, and we have within us what we need to take care of them. To say, it's okay that you stutter. I love you anyway. It's okay that you don't know what to do. You'll know when the time comes. It's okay that you don't know what to say. The words will come. So as we take that step towards Egypt, let's just come together in consciousness. And remember that foundational truth of our philosophy and of our lives, that there is only one, that one is God, and that very life of God is our life, right now, always, forever. I know that one spirit, that one creative genius that's spoken to being all that exists is continuing to create new forms, new ideas, new expressions. And it does so all around us, and it also does so in us, for we are one with it. So that when our hearts and souls speak to us of something that is ours to do, it is simply God becoming that which it will become. It is simply this great spirit of love, by means of each one of us, bringing that love into the world. And so what I know in this moment for each of us is that we are not fearful. We allow our fear to be transmuted into curiosity. When we see that bush burning, we don't try to hide and run away. We walk towards it and say, here I am. We see what is ours to do in the world, and then we take a step toward it. And then we let the next step become clear to us, and we take that step. And we never, ever, ever let our sights fall from that which is in our souls, that which is the high vision of our lives, that which includes the material, absolutely, abundance and joy and relationships and health and well-being, and that which also includes the universal, that expansion of soul that lets us know that as we take a step into the world, our presence is healing. As we take another step into the world, our presence is a blessing. And as we take yet another step into the world, our presence is a model to show others how to walk in freedom, to walk in joy, to be the presence of love. For this truly is our high calling. And knowing this is the truth about us, knowing that we are the place, one of the places where God shows up as love, as community, as joy, as courage, as all those things needed to make that trek into Egypt. I give thanks. I give thanks for everyone who is here today. I give thanks for the glorious music. I give thanks for the bountiful food we will enjoy after the service. And I give thanks for this life of exploration, of journeying, of saying yes. So I just let it all be. I know that that law, which knows not big or little or hard or small or easy, has already done it. It's already happening. And even if it takes 40 years to unfold, I know it is in process now. And I say, thank you, God. And so it is. So now we have an opportunity to put legs under this big vision of love and respect and peace and joy and loving community. Because when we give to this center, which I do by automatic withdrawal, I highly recommend it. It is so easy. We support the work of changing lives so that we can help each other on this journey to a better world. So please take your gift in your hands or your heart and affirm with me. I know the activity of abundance in my life.
I know the activity of abundance in my life.
And in this center,
I
give and receive generously
I give and receive generously
from this everlasting flow of good.
from this everlasting flow of good.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And now we get to hear, no, not quite yet, because you're going to do the, that's right. Kenny, you'll take care of introduction.
We're going to feature Jesse again, so give it up for Jesse Powers.
This is all about getting up in the morning and realizing who you are.
These days I've been having trouble waking up. I'd rather stay asleep than try to believe in a higher love. I think I'm fooling everybody else. I say that I know that I'm loved, but I don't, 'cause I'm still punishing myself. You see, I've been holding it in, this brilliant light. They told me it was intimidating, so I've been keeping it inside. But when I woke up this morning, I realized that something this bright is desperate to rise. So I gotta rise, I let it rise up from my bed, get into my body and out of my head. I let it go, holding on to the notion that something's always wrong. I'm incredible, it's beautiful, this life that I live. And so I'm gonna hold my head high like the queen that I am, living my life for the wonder that it is. These days I've been having trouble getting mine. Stuck still in a tiny bubble, just watching my life roll by. I get anxious, I'm afraid of everyone else. But to be honest, it just gets worse when I'm alone with myself. You see, I've been holding it back, this power inside, too scared to act. So I live in my mind, but now I see power is in my nature. And just like day comes after night, naturally I gotta rise, I gotta rise. So I'm gonna rise up from my bed, get into my body and out of my head. I'm letting go of holding on to the notion that something's always wrong. I'm incredible, it's beautiful, this the life that I live. And so I'm gonna hold my head high like the queen that I am, living my life for the wonder that it is. physical kind of spirituality. It ain't just in the movement of your mind, it's the movement of your feet. It's in the steps that you take, it's in your body alive. It's the love that you make, it's the way that you rise. So I'm gonna rise up from my bed, get into my body and out of my head. I'm letting go of holding on to the notion that something is wrong. I'm gonna rise up from my bed, get into my body and out of my head. I'm letting go of holding on to the notion that something's always wrong. I'm incredible, it's beautiful, this life that I live. And so I'm gonna hold my head high like the queen that I am, living my life for the wonder that it is.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you for Cece for inviting me. And thanks to this awesome band.
We want to mention that Jesse has an album out now. You can say that.
Right over there. Get your CDs before they're all gone.
I do have a card reader thing, so if you don't have any cash, I also have a card reader.
Cool.
I want to know that.
Take home some Jesse Powers with you today. Yes. Isn't she fabulous? Oops, stepped on there barefoot. Okay, time for a closing affirmation. And then we're going to sing Into the Light, right? Yep. Okay. So, please repeat after me. I am that which I am becoming.
I am that which I am becoming.
I keep my eyes on the vision.
I keep my eyes on the vision.
And I take the first step.
And I take the first step.
Knowing Spirit is in me.
Knowing Spirit is in me.
Through me.
Through me.
As me.
As me.
And so it is.
And so it is.
Have a fabulous week, everybody.
One, two, three.